what I really like about Claire, your character, is that she's tough, but also she has a little bit of light moments with her brother, Jack Lacy. How did you work also with Brad Peyton in order to find the right balance between all these different tones in the movie?
Good question. I mean, yeah, you're right. It is always, the director is the one who has to keep the tone always, and you trust that they know what they're doing, that they have a vision, which we definitely did with Brad. I mean, he's so clear on what he wants. But I think that's what really drew me to this movie or this character or whatever. The comedy in it, the self-deprecation is so great. Because if you take it too seriously, then it's just not as much fun to watch. So I love that there's the juxtaposition between Claire and her brother, that they really are opposites. And you see that a lot in siblings too, where you have one who's, you know, into sports and the other one's into dolls, and you're like, wow, they don't even seem like they know each other. But we had so much fun, and Jake is such a brilliant actor and such a funny human being. It was hard to not laugh, to keep a straight face all the time.
And yeah, talking about that, which has been for you the funniest scene to shoot in this movie?
Oh God,
and maybe on the other end, also the most difficult in an emotional way or in physical?
I think that it's so hard to say what was the funniest, because every day was the funniest with Jake, because every day he would make me laugh so hard that I almost peed my pants right before they called action, and then I had to go and be really cold and mean. So I wanted to kill him in the best way possible, just because after a while you just have to look at his face and you start laughing because he just looks funny. So we had a blast doing it. The most challenging, or, you know, because she's not really emotional, Claire, is she? She's quite cold and devoid of emotion. But the most challenging was sort of her final scene in the film, which is a lot of green screen and wire work, and but I love that kind of a challenge. You know, I love when it gets a bit more difficult, because then you got to push yourself to another level.
In order to build this character, it's not very common to see a bad guy, which is who is a woman in a movie like this. Have you been inspired by any previous characters or any actress?
Not really. There's no one specific, but I admire Robin Wright in House of Cards. I love her chill attitude, and I think that creates a sense of power in and of itself when you sit so calmly and comfortably in your own skin. It's just so impactful. But I've noticed that with a lot of people in real life too, people who sit in high-powered positions. They're not ever frazzled. You know, they're just kind of calm because they've got it all together. They're one step ahead of everyone.
Last question, and this is a very personal question.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite cinecomic in the last 20 years has been Watchmen.
Oh, yeah.
I really love that movie. What do you remember of that experience and being in a movie together, even if you don't have seen with Jeffrey Dean Morgan? What about, you know?
I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. We spent a lot of time together during Watchmen. Unfortunately, this time around, you know, he's a working man. He was working on Walking Dead and this, and so we didn't have any time. But that was my first big film that I've ever done. You know, a big sort of, I don't want to say superhero film because it's not quite that. It's much more intricate. But it was a big film, and the magnitude of it, it was actually 9 months of my life, 6 months of shooting and 3 months of prep. And I loved it. It was a surreal experience, and I think every single person on that film I'm still in touch with. We're all still friends because we just created such a nice friendship, and Jeffrey being one of the closest. So I'm so glad that we're on this movie together and that we get to do press together and reminisce about the Watchmen times.